The experience is the experiment.
Today's guest hails from Danville, California, but has since made her way to Los Angeles, California. She's an artist and a songwriter who first hit the stage at a young age, but has since found an amazing career as an artist. She is gearing up to release her new single, Did It Hurt? Please welcome today's guest, Elise.
Hi.
Welcome. I got all that right? Didn't fuck anything up?
No, you slayed. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I'm glad we got to make this happen.
Me too.
We got in contact through your publicist, and she sent me some music, and right away it was a yes. This
Amazing.
Is fucking phenomenal music.
Thank you.
So please tell me a little bit about who you are, where you're from, how you got to right here.
So I'm from the Bay Area. I moved here when I was 17, so I've been here for too long, like 6 years now. And I've always kind of done music my whole life. I grew up singing and being in choir and doing talent shows and just all of that kind of stuff locally. And then as I got older and older, I just kind of had the realization that music was what I was going to do with my life. So eventually I moved out here to LA and started dropping original music about 4 years ago. So it's been a journey the past 4 years. And now we're here.
Now we're here. So did you have family members that were in the industry or anybody that kind of helped veer your path this direction, or was it more just you?
No, I didn't have, no one in my family was in the music industry at the time, but what worked out really amazingly was I have one brother. We're each other's only sibling. He's 2 years younger than me, and he also grew up doing music with me. Like, he's an insane pianist and guitarist and producer and is just super musically inclined. So when I came here and started doing music, he ended up coming here too. And now we both have our own like artist projects, and sometimes we work together. He's produced like a lot of my songs that are out and stuff. So it worked out great.
What a sick dynamic. I've always wondered what it would be like to work with somebody who already knows you on such like an intimate family level.
It's such a crazy feeling because, yeah, you can, like, you and a sibling have a different relationship than like anything else in the world. And my brother and I are really close. So when we work on music, it's literally like no walls up. I'll be recording. He'll be like, that fucking sucked. Do it again. I'm like, yep, it did.
That's though the people that I've worked with the most, that relationship helps a song get made so much quicker.
Yeah.
When there's like, I don't know, if you have to bounce around a bunch of bullshit of somebody not wanting to make you feel bad.
Yeah.
When at the end of the day you're working and the goal is to create something amazing. I think it helps a lot, and I think
it definitely does.
You were saying also that your boyfriend, who I've got to meet, is a producer as well, and that same dynamic. And like when you know somebody that well, working with them is, I think, one of the most fun things in the world.
Yeah, it definitely is. It makes it just so much, like you said, quicker. And also it's like, have you ever been in a session where you can tell nobody's really feeling it? Like the vibes are not really there, but nobody wants to say anything.
Totally.
Because no one wants to hurt each other's feelings. But when it's like your brother or your boyfriend or someone that you're super close with, you can just be like, guys,
it's not it.
It's not it. Let's do it again.
Is fine. And that's the thing people forget is that this stuff doesn't hit the bullseye 100% of the time.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that special if it did. Like you need a couple sessions here and there that teach you, hey, loved the way we started, didn't end up working out. Let's reconvene next time and start with a new head.
Exactly.
So you just released a song. This will probably come out in a little bit, but from where we are at this moment, you released a song last week as well, right?
Yes. So I just dropped my first single in a year, which is crazy, called Black Balloons. And I really wanted to put it out in October because it kind of has that like Halloween spooky vibe, which is like my favorite type of music to make. So yeah, I'm really happy it's out.
And what's the response been to it so far?
It's been amazing. Like, I think after you don't drop music for so long, you kind of just start to feel like, oh, what am I doing with my life?
Totally.
Like, I have nothing to offer the world right now. I have, like, it kind of can make you get into a little bit of like a depression type thing.
Yeah.
So then coming back out and dropping something and like just having people listen and like it and send sweet messages and stuff, it definitely is like, it brings me happiness.
It's like a refueling. It kind of gives you that spark that you need sometimes to realize that people are still there and they're still listening. And as an artist, being somebody who's so close to the industry, it's hard to remember that most people who listen to music, half of what they're listening to is from years ago.
Yeah.
And for them, it's a new experience every time. For us, we sat and we went and sat in front of an EQ or in front of a melody for so long that it becomes mundane. It feels like once it's out, it's like, I already did that.
Yep.
And you forget that other people are still experiencing it for the first time and have this like connection to it that
Exactly.
I don't know
They
if we
like
can.
interpret it in their own way. And that's so true. I always say, like, by the time an artist drops a song, they probably already are sick of the song because
Absolutely.
we already spent fucking 100 collective hours listening to it or more. But yeah, people like hear it for the first time and they tie it to like certain memories or certain feelings, and that's something cool. It sticks, like, at least for me, and I'm sure like for you, when you hear a song that kind of ties into something for you, you remember that forever.
Absolutely.
So.
And sometimes the first 5-10 times you hear a song, you don't yet have the right situation in your life for it to fully convey and fully connect to you. So like there's songs where I've listened to it 50 times and then 3 years down the line, I have a moment where I'm like, wow, now it connects to me in a way it's different. And
Yep.
people are still going to have that connection. It's when you think of an artist and you go to a show and you're like, God, I wish they could play their hit that they made 15 years ago. For you, it's this emotional thing. You're like, why wouldn't they play it?
Yeah.
For them, they've heard it every fucking day for years. And they're
They
sick
hate
of
it.
and all you hear is what you could have done differently. Everybody else hears this beautiful finished product where it's hard to change something that's already there for them.
Yeah.
But you've been sitting on it so long that it becomes old.
It's so true. I feel like I end up doing that a lot. Like sometimes I'll listen to my old music just to sit there and critique it. And I have to remind myself, like, there's no point in doing that.
Absolutely.
It's out. It is what it is. Like,
It's there.
yeah. It's a critical life being an artist.
Absolutely. It's critical. And people forget that it didn't start with the music that became critical. People who kind of go towards this career and want this were probably pretty critical before, no matter what it was. You know, you have the things that you fall in love with, and then they become something that have to be perfect every time,
Yep.
even if that's not how life normally works. And I feel like musicians find music not because they're obsessed with music, but because their brain is wired a certain way before the music was ever there.
It's
and
true.
This is the way we can convey our emotions the best.
Yeah.
So you've been out here, what, 6 years, you said?
Yeah, I think about 6 now.
And you're from the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. Which one you like better?
It's tough. I like certain things about each. The Bay is always just going to feel like home because my whole family lives there and all my like childhood and adolescent memories are there.
Totally.
But also I came here when I was 17 and now I'm 24. So I do feel like this has been my like college to adulthood experience.
Totally.
I didn't actually go to college, but I was here at college age. So I have a lot of memories here too. I think though, if I really had to pick, I like the Bay more just because that's where family is.
It's a warmer area. Obviously not as far as heat, but as
No.
far as it's got a little bit more of a community to it, I feel.
Yeah.
LA has it. Don't get me wrong. I'm obsessed with it here, but it's harder. There's so many people here that the amount of picking through you have to do to find the right people,
It's hard.
it's just intense. And
It's also just a very like, not that this is always a bad thing, but I feel a very competitive energy in LA, especially being like in an entertainment type industry.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of hard to like make friends and have long-term friendships. Obviously you find like your close group, but I feel like we're all kind of like pitted against each other in a way.
Yeah.
So
or
I
at
don't
least
know.
the city wants to make you feel like you are.
Yeah.
I feel like we're finally transferring over to this different time where I can go and I can search up an artist who has 50 million monthly listeners and find a new one that I've never heard of every hour for the next fucking 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And that'll just keep happening and keep happening. And people kind of have this mindset of how it used to be where there's this many spots at the top and that's it. And don't get me wrong, if you want to be the Drake or the Selena Gomez or the Ariana or somebody like that, there's a few spots. But most people now can make such a fucking beautiful living and fund their career and their family and their kids based off of being completely independent or doing really well but not being the biggest of all time. And
Yeah.
I feel like there doesn't have to be as much competition as people feel.
I agree. I think there's like, especially now these days, like you don't need to go to a fancy studio. You don't need a record label. You can make music in your room and get
Absolutely.
poppin'. And like you said, make a really good living off of that. I think back in like the early 2000s and before, it was like you're either a pop star, like a huge whatever type music artist you are star, and then that's it. That's
Absolutely.
like all that exists. Now there's just so much less separation between like, I guess, fame or being like very big and a fan. Like there's everything in between. So it's really cool.
The dissonance now is so much larger, which either gives you room to kind of feel like you're lost in it, or to realize that there's a lot of room to grow and to move and you can have these different experiences.
Yeah.
And now we're at the point where you can find a band that hit their peak, realize that they don't want to stay at the top of the mountain. I just heard this thing today where they were, I think it was DJ Academics was talking about thinking of this industry as a mountain. When you go to climb a massive mountain, you don't live at the top. It's something you get to do. It's a feat. It's amazing, but it's not somewhere you want to stay forever. It doesn't have the comfortability that you want in your life, but it's an amazing thing to do. And I think people are going to start looking at this industry a little bit more like that, where you can hit the top, have your experience, meet all the people you need to meet, and then build the fan base internally and live off of it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just this weird, ever-changing thing. But you're also in the social media world, which that's far more cutthroat to me. That is like very, very competitive.
Yeah. I think the crazy thing about the social media world is it's a lot of kids who, or not kids, but, teenagers to young adults who get really famous really fast and get a lot of followers, like millions of followers over the course of like just months. And then their whole life changes. They leave whatever small town they're from. They move to LA. They're like unsupervised for the first time in their life. And I think that leads to like, I mean, it can lead to a bunch of different things, but I think it just leads to a very like chaotic circle of people hanging out together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think the reason that college is important, or that time in your life, has nothing to do with the schooling. It has to do with the ability to fuck up with a lot of people who are also fucking up.
Yep.
And realize that that's okay and that's part of this process. And when you're in the limelight so quickly, you don't have that option.
Yeah.
My buddy Kira does very, very well on social media, but she's kind of transferred over from the film side to the music side. Been a musician forever. That's the reason she lives. But seeing somebody who has to transfer over and is known a certain way, it's super interesting. I almost feel bad that she doesn't get the chance to be the most vulnerable version of herself, because people have this automatic idea of who she is based off of social media.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's this stigma kind of behind you because of your social media that makes it hard to progress music-wise as far as expanding what you do and the directions and the genres you go?
Honestly, I don't really feel like that towards myself and my own like artist stuff, but I do have friends who experience that and like get stuck in the whole like, oh, you're an Instagram girl or you're something else that's not a musician, you're a TikToker, and then they try to drop music and people don't want to take them serious. And like, don't get me wrong, there are social media influencers that drop really bad music just because they want to drop music, but there are also a lot of people who get big on social media, but they already had the love and like the passion for music, and now they're using it to segue in, and the music is like good. And if it was coming from someone who maybe wasn't already like a known figure on social media, people would probably give it more of a chance.
Totally.
So yeah, I think that definitely affects like, I don't know if that affects me. I feel like I don't really have like the big social media following of some of these TikTokers and stuff where that type of thing happens. But yeah, I definitely know people who struggle with that.
Yeah, some people get a little typecasted.
Yeah.
And that's weird. But there's also, it's like, if you look at somebody whose first job, because a lot of people now, their first job is social media.
Yeah.
But if
I'm
you
so
look
sorry. My nose is running so
No, you're
much.
so
Do you
okay.
have like tissue or something?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pause. Trust me, I live for the experiment. But there is one place in my life that I don't want to be an experiment, and that's when trimming my balls. Luckily, the Performance 4.0 package is here. Inside this package, you will find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, the Crop Reviver toner, the Performance boxer briefs, and a new travel bag to hold all of your new favorite things. I needed the Lawnmower 4.0 so much more than I ever realized. This thing has a ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, all thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology, a flashlight so I can actually see where I'm trimming, and not only that, but this thing's waterproof, so I can trim just about anywhere. I love this thing, and I love the whole 4.0 package, from the lawnmower, the weed whacker, the crop preserver, the crop reviver, and all the free gifts they threw in. Trust me, fellas, your balls will thank you. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code EXPERIMENT at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code EXPERIMENT at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
And we're back from our ad. So I feel like a lot of people had their first job is social media. And I think they don't get the benefit of the doubt to let that be their first job. You think of somebody who makes it big, but they talk about like Matthew McConaughey, first job at like a grocery store or something. You don't think of him as somebody who worked in a grocery store and decided to do music. You think of him as acting. You think of him as an actor who had a first job. And I don't think people allow social media to look like that, when I think it's deserved. Like, just because you make it on social media first and that's your impetus towards success doesn't mean that that's not your first job and that you weren't going to go and do the music thing anyways. And I think people deserve that benefit of doubt. Don't get me wrong. There's people who there's so much auto-tune on their voice, and the only reason is because they wanted to put out a track, not because they love music. But then there's people who use it artistically and are able to have that be their first job and find an amazing career.
For sure, yeah.
So were you playing any instruments growing up? Were you writing? What was kind of the start?
My thing was always mainly singing. Like, I was obsessed with singing. I just wanted to sing at every place that would ever allow me to sing. One time in like 5th grade, I sang at a Veterans Day thing in like my community, the town community center. And I remember I learned, like, I didn't know Amazing Grace had like 47 stanzas. I thought like, okay, the first 8, I'll be fine. And then they're like, no, we want you to sing the entire song. I remember like trying to memorize it all morning. Anyway, I don't know why I went on that tangent. But yeah, I mostly grew up singing, writing. My brother was always more like playing the instruments. So he was really talented at piano from a young age. So like we would go do things together where I would sing and he would play the piano. And just like at every family gathering, they're like, oh, you kids, you got to perform. We're like,
it was like being the guitar player who can play a Jack Johnson song at a fucking bonfire growing up.
Literally.
Absolutely.
Who has the ukulele?
For real.
Yeah.
And so you guys were playing together, and who kind of decided to make it a career first?
Definitely me. I grew up already, just even as a little kid, being like, I want to be a pop star when I grow up. Like, my whole life, I knew I wanted to do music. I didn't know anything about the music industry or how it worked or what I was going to do to get there. But even as a kid, my like dream job was always growing up doing music, being in the music industry. And then my brother was always like really talented at music. Honestly, he's like a fucking savant. It's insane. He grew up like one of those weird music savant kids.
He's
like
really good.
Perfect pitch to a fault, like just the whole thing. And so he never, I don't think, really looked at it as a career choice, but I think once he saw me doing it and like having some success with it, he was like, hold on.
It becomes a reality.
I'm going to do that too. Yeah, exactly. And like I already lived here, so we lived together. It was easy. Like,
how great.
Yeah, it was great.
And your family, what was their kind of thoughts on you guys running away to LA to be musicians?
They're pretty supportive, really supportive, honestly. Obviously, you know, well, they were the type of parents that wanted us to go to college and, you know, they're like business people and do a lot of like entrepreneur business stuff. So I think that was more the direction they thought we would head in.
Totally.
But they've been supportive. They know we're both really in love with music and it's what we want to do with our lives. So they're proud. They don't want to stop us.
And you started having some really awesome success. Like when you can start having funnels of income come off of your music or things that are parallel to your music, like social media or any of these different places.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool thing for a parent to see that what you knew as a valuable way to make money changes.
Yeah.
And this is something that is scary to a lot of parents or people above a certain age because they didn't grow up seeing a 15-year-old kid having the money to buy a Lamborghini before they can drive it.
That wasn't really a thing until
No.
like this generation, honestly.
And now it's huge. And now half the money world, the investing world, not right now, but previously is like crypto and all these things that are really, really technological.
Yeah.
I guess that's the right word. And kids are figuring it out more than many, many other people now and can make a crazy fucking living off of being an ex-gamer or still a gamer who wants to sit at home and make their shit and buy an expensive car. And it's like, if you can prove it, then there's walls that go down, barriers that go down really quickly.
For sure, yeah. Like, yeah, it's so true. Our generation is the generation of work smarter, not harder,
Absolutely.
I think. And that's why like all these young kids are able to just find ways where they're like, oh shit, I just made $1 million. Like crypto, social media, there's so many gaming, like there's so many things like that now. And yeah, I think it changes. Even if someone's parents are not so supportive, I feel like once you start making an income and you can be like, hey, I'm like making a living off of this. This isn't just a pipe dream anymore. Like it's actually kind of happening. You can't really say shit about that.
Well, exactly. It's like the famous story of any immigrant who moves here and they want their kids to become a doctor or this or that, and then the kid becomes a famous entertainer in one way or another. And it's like you always hear them still say like, my parents still don't get it, but they understand that there's money coming in and that's all they care about. And it's just like, it's true. It's like you move here or you have this thought process or idea of what success looks like, and you want that for your kids. And then you realize that they're doing something that has such a larger ability to fail, but so much more ability to make a beautiful life and living out of. And
out of something you actually love to do that can also affect so many other people in like a positive way.
Amen.
So
yeah.
I think I'm really grateful for my mom because she is an immigrant herself, and she obviously had big dreams for my brother and has big dreams for my brother and I. So like, yeah, at first there's some doubt and some like, I don't know, is this music thing sustainable? I mean, I still have that doubt all the time. I think like a lot of people that do music do, but
you're human.
When you can say like, Mom, I'm like accomplishing this, or like I did this, or this money is coming in, it kind of just, it makes your parents so proud because they're just like, damn, my kid is doing it, and they're doing something they actually like love to do.
Totally.
So,
and it makes the peaks make more sense, and it makes the valleys make more sense. You know, there is this due diligence time that you have to put in before you can make it. Whether it's being an engineer and being somebody's bitch at a studio and going to get coffee. It's like when I had to tell my parents that's what I was doing for a while. That for them, it's like, wait, you're working all night, working your ass off, and not making any money, and then they start seeing it come to fruition. And it's just, in this industry, you have to be thick-skinned, and you kind of have to be a little bit arrogant sometimes. You have to think that you are already where you want to be, because you're going to have a lot of tough times in between, but then the highs can be so unbelievable. And I think the direction you're coming from, which is you love this. This is not, you're not doing this because you want this to be your job. You're doing this because you need this to be your job. You need this to be your life.
There's not another option type
Absolutely.
thing.
And that makes the lows way easier.
Yeah.
You know, when the one thing you can't lose is the fact that you love this, and that clearly the people that you came with are part of the industry, and in like everything that you can do with your life that is surrounded by music it's a plus.
It's an awesome thing. Yeah. Anytime I'm getting really upset over something, or something failed that I thought was going to work out, or just anything, you know, the constant peaks and valleys of being in music, I'll get sad, and then I'll be like, but at the end of the day, I would want to die right now if I was like working an office job or like something where I just wouldn't feel like I can make like literally anything other than music, really.
Totally.
I feel like I would be so much less happy with life. So at the end of the day, the bads could be a lot worse.
And when you get a little taste of it and you start realizing that you can wake up every day and decide, today I'm going to go to the studio and make a song, and that's what you get to do for the day, it's really hard to let go of. It's really hard to not work harder than everybody else in the room when you've had a taste of what fucking heaven feels like.
Yeah.
Where do you hope to see yourself over the next couple of years? Is there a direction you're trying to go, whether that's playing festivals, whether that's hitting a new genre? Is there any sort of transformation that you're looking for?
I think I'm just kind of ready to finally put out stuff that I really love and believe in and be really consistent with my releases. Something that's happened to me a lot in the past is I've had to kind of take really long breaks in dropping music because of stuff happening on the back end, like the industry business side of things.
Totally.
And I don't want that to continue to like impede what I'm trying to do. So sorry, I have a little dust on my face. So I'm just gonna keep dropping consistently. I would really love to, be doing a bunch of shows and doing tours and things like that. I'd say that's my biggest goal for 2023 is to just like get out on the road as much as possible and just, keep dropping music. I spent this whole year making so much music. I think I did like hundreds of sessions this year. So I have a lot of music that I really love, and it's all like kind of not a completely new genre for me, but definitely I feel like a more mature sound and just kind of a little more grown up than what I've done in the past. So I'm just excited to drop it and just drop shit. I love dropping shit. I need the validation. I'm a sucker for validation.
I feel you. Speaking of validation, have you ever gotten any messages from fans that have been really cool to hear? Validating?
Oh, of course, yeah. The craziest messages I get from fans that make me like so happy is when a lot of the time girls and sometimes boys too will send me messages and just be like, hey, your music literally got me through or out of my like really toxic abusive relationship, or like I was with someone who was doing this and this, and like your music like made me feel like I had someone to relate to about those issues. And that is probably like my number one most like, that makes me feel so good because that's the shit I went through to make that music. So to like be somebody else's sort of like musical shoulder to cry on through that is really important to me.
And I think that if you're going to be in this industry, you have a responsibility to use your power correctly. And going to sleep knowing that message is on your phone, written by somebody who took their time out of their day to let you know that what you're doing is helping people, has to be one of the most validating, most incredible, beautiful experiences to ever have. I mean,
for sure.
Filling a room with people is amazing, but filling a room with one person who their life is forever changed because of you staying up an extra 5 hours to make a song, or going through a shitty experience over and over again in your head to make sure that it's conveyed correctly.
Yeah.
It's just got to be the craziest feeling in the world. And
it's an awesome feeling. And like, I struggle with a lot of imposter syndrome. Like a lot of the time I'm just like, oh my God, like I hate my music. It sucks. I would never listen to this if I wasn't, like, just all the thoughts.
Totally.
And when somebody sends me something like that, it kind of just makes me feel like, oh, so like, that my music is actually important to you and you enjoy it and you're listening to it. So it's like a beautiful message on one end, and then on the more like shallow end, I'm like, oh, thank God I don't suck. Someone likes me.
It's a reminder. And to be in this industry, you have to be incredibly hard on yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be your most intense critic. You have to be the person
number one hater.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like if you can work out super hard in the morning and make that the hardest stress of your day, then everything else will be a little bit less intense, a little bit more diminished. And I think it's the same thing. If you're the person who wants you to do the best all the time, then anything anybody says to you won't feel nearly as intense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do you have
build like metal skin in this industry.
You have to. But then you also have to have thin skin and be able to feel the emotions and sort them and get rid of what you don't need and keep what you do. And
yeah.
Is there anything that you've done to kind of make this sustainable for you? Is there anything that helps you take your head away from the business side or the music side and kind of recharge?
Honestly, if I'm answering honestly, I don't feel like I've gotten there yet. I feel like I am really bad at compartmentalizing, like, okay, myself versus my career, and like
Totally.
I haven't really gotten there yet. I recognize that it's something I probably should do at some point because it can be a lot of anxiety, like constantly feeling like your brain is on the clock. And like I'm really bad with free time as well. Like when I have free time, I'm either like anxious and need to be doing a million things and like create insane like manic checklists of bullshit, or I'm like the complete opposite end of the spectrum and I rot in bed and do nothing and then feel like shit because I'm doing nothing. So I need to learn some skills to get that a little stronger.
Totally. It's just, this whole thing is like you're going through this experience and you start with an empty bag and you got to fill it as you go. You fill it with the stuff that are necessary because you only have so much room.
Yeah.
But it's like you start filling it as you go, and then, you fucking run into a situation and then you have the tool for it. And it just builds and builds and builds until hopefully one day you have a full pack of fucking survival gear that helps you get through any situation. But is there anything that you used to do that you wish you could bring back, whether that's hiking all the time or going on walks or working out or fucking painting, whatever it is?
Honestly, yeah, I grew up obsessed with reading, and like from the time I was a really little kid until through about high school, I was always reading a book. Like my punishment as a kid used to be that my mom would like take my book away because
awesome.
I would like not do my homework because I just wanted to read all the books. And when I moved to LA, I kind of lost that love for reading, and I really rarely read books anymore. And it kind of makes me sad. I'm like, damn, I don't know what happened. I feel like I don't have the attention span for it anymore or something. But the feeling of just, like, I don't know if you're a reader, but the feeling of just like Xing out everything and sitting down and reading for a few hours is so relaxing and calming. I kind of wish I wish I would get back into that.
It makes sense, though. You're using that same part of your brain in your daily life. All the things that you probably learned from reading and all these weird little intricacies that you probably picked up and didn't even think about. It wasn't this like conscious thing. You're now using to create another version of art for other people.
It's super true. I literally attribute my whole like style of songwriting to the fact that I read so many like fiction novels growing up. Like I think reading a lot as a kid is what made me love lyrics and love songwriting and just like be obsessed with words in the first place. So yeah, I definitely think reading a lot influenced me for sure.
It's so interesting. I'm the opposite. I didn't read a lot growing up. I have a lot of trouble with reading. Just everything under the sun is wrong with me and hinders it. But because of that, I can listen to a song and I can tell you the bass line throughout the whole thing and not tell you a single vocal. And my girlfriend's opposite. She's a big reader, and when she writes, it's vivid. You're there. She's not just talking about the tree. You see the colors in the bark and you feel it. With me, it's like talking about a time I got high because that's what I remember. And it's just such a different experience. And I look up to people that have the ability to be vivid like that. And listening to your songs, you definitely that's a strength that you seem to bring into a lot of your music.
Thank you. That is cool, though. It's interesting, like, different people that have, musical brains listen to such different things about music. And that's interesting. Like, you're more listening to the instrumentation and, like, the melodies of instruments and stuff. But when I hear a song, the number one thing I tap into is words always.
Totally. Which is the reason that a lot of great songs are full of a room with a this person and a this person and a that person. Is there anybody that you've been working with lately that you are super excited to be working with, whether that's a producer, songwriter, or artist?
I've been working with this producer, Eric Ron. He produced my last single, Black Balloons, and he's just amazing. Like, Black Balloons was our first session together. Do you know Eric Ron?
I don't.
Okay, I feel like we run in kind of similar circles.
Yeah.
We're probably like 1 degree of separation.
Well, I'd love to meet him. If you're listening to this, come hang.
Come hang out. But yeah, he's been amazing. I've been working with a lot of people. I'm so bad at thinking of things off the top of my head, but
What about artists you're digging? Anybody that's also doing it right now that you think is doing it really well or you're getting inspiration from?
I mean, we were just talking about Amelia Moore. She's incredible.
She's
like,
so good.
Obsessed with her. I really like Pink Pantheress. I love like her unique sound, and just like how she kind of came back with some like, I don't know, like I feel like there hasn't really been an artist that kind of made their own genre like that in so long. So I really like her. I also love Elio. She had that song Charger with Charlie XCX.
Absolutely.
She's awesome.
She's so sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think having inspirations in this business that are also doing it and that are equals or colleagues, if you will.
Peer group. Yeah.
Is amazing. And I think so many people are worried that they can't be a fan of somebody who's also in it because they don't want it to look like they're taking something or whatever. But at the end of the day, you look at like the Laurel Canyon scene from back in the day, and everybody was cyclical. There's a reason there's a lot of great people, is because they were working together.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a big part of it.
That's something like I always think about this. I feel like a lot of the time guy artists are so down to co-sign each other. They don't really care if you're bigger or smaller artists. Like a lot of male artists like co-sign and become friends and follow each other and comment on each other's stuff and make songs together. And I don't see girl artists doing it as much. And I don't know why it's like less of a thing for girl artists to like become homies and like do all of that.
I think there's something about the bar, the threshold that it takes to get into this business. For a female, it is so much harder. It is so, I mean, the way that so many fucking vile dudes treat girls out here, and the way a guy will hear something from a guy and it's this automatic like
we're bros.
Success.
Yeah.
And then the opposite happens when a woman's trying to do it. And it's just there's this preconceived idea that I think makes it a lot harder. And that's why I respect the hell out of a girl who can be a badass in this industry, because you have to be fucking tough and go through a lot of bullshit and win a lot of fights.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of drives the impetus of being a little bit more sheltered or holding what you have close in this industry.
That is true. I hadn't even thought of that perspective, but yeah, I think it's that. And like, I think also boys are just kind of taught from a younger age to like have that camaraderie. And I feel like girls are taught from a young age to be in competition with each other almost. Like there's not enough room for everyone, whereas with boys, there's like enough room for everyone type thing. And I feel like that stigma kind of carries over into the music industry. That was like more what I was talking about earlier. But yeah, I think it's cool now. The point I was getting to was now I feel like girls are finally starting to like be friends with each other, peer group, girl music friends. And it's like really awesome to see. And yeah, it just makes me happy.
I wonder if it has anything to do with how installed sports and sports culture is into like the male world, where most guys, their dad or whoever it is, from the second they're able to throw a ball, is going to put a ball in their hand, or the team aspect. It's like show up for your team is very like manly, if you will, which I think is just a human thing, but it's just pushed through men. It's like the camaraderie, the being part of a team and working with the team is so pushed that I think it becomes a little easier for guys to feel like they're part of the team versus on the opposite one. Yeah. When girls, I feel like you're right. There's like this automatic, or for a long time, it was like more of a competition with one another versus this camaraderie.
And also kind of like it's easier for guys to like be friends with a guy and just be like, you're my homie. Whereas with girls, a lot of guys will look at a girl like, is there something to gain here?
Totally.
If I tried it, would it happen? Like, you know what I mean? So it kind of can be more of like just a more volatile situation, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dudes can be fucking gross.
Yeah.
Like, anybody can be gross, but there's just a lot of gross dudes.
Yeah, especially in the music industry.
Amen.
They all come to hang out here.
It's just, there's something about the fame that can come with it, and the power that some people are just so power hungry, and they're not in it because they love it and because they need it. I don't think you have to be a good person, but I think there's a lot of people who they don't have that, and they're in it because they want to win, not because they want to win with their art.
Or they start with a like wholesome reason and then end up getting all that, you know, money, fame, power they wanted, and now they're just like sold their soul to Satan.
Absolutely. So a little transition. Tell me a little bit about the song coming out.
So the song coming out is called Did It Hurt? It's going to be my second single off of a new project that I'm going to drop next year. Awesome. So I'm super excited. And I really love Did It Hurt because I feel like it's, you know, when you have those days where you make a song and you're just like, this is a rare song for me. Yeah. I've never really made anything like this. I don't really know what brainwave I was on when I made this because it doesn't sound similar to my other stuff, but I fucking love it. Yeah. That's kind of like how Did It Hurt was for me. So I'm really excited. It's kind of like melancholic and, you know, a little bit more on the on the soft, sad vibes, but still has like the 808s and the crazy like drums that I love putting in my music. So yeah, I think it'll be a really cute end of the year song, and I'm just happy it's coming out. I love it.
Do you know the exact days that it's coming out?
Yes, December 2nd. It'll be out.
Go stream it up, everybody.
Go stream it.
And Black Balloons, is it?
Black Balloons, yes.
And that's out now. That came out recently. So
she is
while you're
out
waiting,
and ready.
Go listen to that.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got a full project coming out eventually.
Yes. I don't know an exact date yet, but I know I will be dropping a project next year, and I'm just excited. I love dropping projects.
Will this be your first full length?
No, I did a full length last year, so this will be my second. I don't even know if it's full length, if it's an EP. I'm not like gonna label it yet. I'm just kind of still in the creative process of like putting everything together and seeing what fits. So
I'm stoked to hear it. Again, right when I heard the songs, it was an automatic yes. I'm a fan. I love what you're doing. I'm excited to hear all the new music, and I hope everybody who's watching go stream it up, go listen, go support. You see, she loves what she's doing. Go help her do it some more.
Thanks. Yes. Do a stream.
Do many streams. Keep it on all night.
Do multiple streams.
Do it all.
If you're crazy.
Do the streams. Well, it was such a pleasure having you on. I'm so glad we got to do this, and
thank you.
And hopefully whenever you're down, come do another one. I'd love to talk some more.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course,
this was
anytime.
So fun.
Go stream it up, everybody, and to everybody out there.
I'm Elise, and this is An Experiment.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The experience is the experiment.